It is 7 p.m. in Washington, where President Obama is tackling strained relations between police and communities in the wake of the Ferguson protests.
It's 8 a.m. in Hong Kong, where protesters are still camped out and a leading activist is trying a new strategy, a hunger strike.
And 3 a.m. in Moscow, where the plunging price of oil is dragging the ruble down, putting new economic pressure on Vladimir Putin. Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Holmes.
Hello, and I'm Lynda Kinkade, in for Emerald Walker. This is CNN Today. We're keeping a close eye on the bitter divide in Hong Kong between the government and pro-democracy demonstrators.
Chief Executive CY Leung lashed out on Monday. He called them violent radicals and warned them not to mistake police tolerance for weakness.
This comes a day after authorities made their boldest move on the main protest site in nearly 2 months. They pushed back activists who had tried to shut down government headquarters. Meanwhile, student leader Joshua Wong, the most well-known face of the Occupy movement, says he and 2 other members are going on a hunger strike.
All right, let's check in with our David Molko, who is live for us in Hong Kong. Tell us about all that and set the scene for us. What's it like there today after all this upheaval over the last couple of days?
Absolutely. Good morning, Michael and Lynda from Hong Kong. It's just past 8 o'clock in the morning here. We're in the main protest area. This is Admiralty, just next to Hong Kong government headquarters. So if you look around me, you see a sea of tents. This has been going on for 9 weeks now, more than 2 months. And we've seen, in the past few weeks, even a few more tents popping up, a little bit more support. The thing now is all about tactics, strategy, and the way forward for the student groups. We saw that escalation you mentioned Sunday into Monday, where student leaders called on protesters to surround government headquarters. Student leaders later said, oh, this was a failure. It didn't work out. Now they're trying something else. Joshua Wong, the 18-year-old face of the movement, if there is a face of the movement, is now on a hunger strike along with 2 other members of his group. Question is, it seems like they tried the escalation, that didn't work out, now they're trying the hunger strike, and you get the sense on the ground here from some of the protesters who are just waking up here, just 8 o'clock in the morning, that they're not quite certain about their own way forward. They're not quite certain that the leadership speaks for them as well, and I think that's something we're going to be looking at in the weeks ahead.
Chief Executive issued his strongest warning to the protesters, saying don't return to the protest site. What's been their reaction there, and what's been the reaction from some of the businesses in the area?
Lynda, that's a very good point. I think when you mentioned the Chief Executive, CY Leung, his point of view and the Hong Kong government's point of view with this has been consistent. They have said the protests are illegal in terms of public order. We want you to leave, and we'd like you to leave peacefully. On the other hand, they don't want to be seen as aggressors. We've seen in the past how a ramped up police presence or a conflict actually brings more people out onto the streets. In terms of the business reaction that you've mentioned, that's, again, something that we've been looking at closely over the last 2 months. Again, I can't emphasize enough, we're into 9 weeks. This started in September. It is now December, moving into holiday season. And I think what you're seeing now is, even if there's some public support for the movement, for this idea of being able to elect your own leader, the pro-democracy movement, what you're seeing is public opinion drop when it comes to protesters. And what you're seeing here, this tent city being out here on the highway, crippling transportation, making it harder to get around for commuters heading to work right now, and also affecting local businesses to some extent. So we'll see how that tolerance continues from the Hong Konger perspective and how that may affect the student movement, their leaders, and the people here on the streets. Michael and Lynda.
David Molko there in Hong Kong. Thank you very much for that update, and we'll speak to you soon.
Meanwhile, it has been a rocky road, as we all know, for oil prices. And despite a little bit of a bounce today, they still remain near record lows. Brent crude adding more than $2 in trading, but that's after prices plunged to their lowest levels in 5 years earlier in the day on Monday. You see the numbers there.
OPEC's decision not to cut output has only added to the pressure on oil. While some countries are hurt by falling prices, there are those who benefit.
China is a big winner when prices fall. as you say, 45% in a matter of a few months. That means China's spending on imports is much lower. The United States is another big winner, big importer of oil. India, South Korea, Japan, all of these are very large economies that depend hugely on imports of oil. So they all benefit. And of course, those of us who are in countries where the price fluctuations are quickly translated down to the gas pump, we benefit.